the PetSmart app and use Afterpay to shop now, pay later in 4 interest-free installments. PetSmart. Anything for your pets. Afterpay terms and conditions apply. Visit PetSmart.com for details.
Everyone circle up. I know it looks rough out there. Sure, we're down 119-64, but we came here to play differently. We need a game changer. Something like Ring Central, the business phone system that's more than a phone. I want you to communicate like you can talk to anyone, anywhere, all from the same app. Now get out there and play like you're using Ring Central.
Ring Central. Simpler communications.
I know a lot of you really want the State Farm personal price plan, but what's with the oversharing? Like this message Brian left me.
Hey, Jake from State Farm. I love the smell of my cat's breath. Yeah.
You don't need to get that personal. The State Farm personal price plan helps you create an affordable price just for you. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there. Call or go to statefarm.com for a quote today.
Prices vary by state. Options selected by customer. Availability and eligibility may vary.
Stevie Nicks. One special night, March 23rd. Live at Chase Center in San Francisco. Tickets on sale now at Ticketmaster.com. Don't miss Stevie Nicks, live at Chase Center in San Francisco. Produced by Live Nation.
Here's home improvement news for the new year at Dolan's. Replace those old interior doors with ones you design yourself. Create your own style with personal choices at Dolan's and doors that are made just for you. The door experts at a Dolan's showroom will help you design your own amazing interior doors. Visit the Ideas section at dolanlumber.com and have a safe and happy new year.
And that's another three from Clay. The Warriors are heating up here at Chase Center, and I cannot believe you are not here to witness it. Ooh, steal by Draymond over to Curry from downtown. That's a new career high without you here to see it. Unbelievable. I'll tell you, Bill, how would it feel to not be here right now?
Crushing, John. Crushing.
Here is where it happens. Experience the Warriors at Chase Center. Tickets on sale now at Warriors.com.
You've been listening to the Golden State Warriors Audio Network.
Presented by United Airlines.
This has been a presentation of Odyssey Sports. For even more coverage of your team, download the free Odyssey app and listen to your favorite stations, shows, and podcasts.
You're listening to 95.7 The Game, KGMZ FM at HD1 San Francisco. Always live on the free Odyssey app. That's a wrap.
Yo, that's a wrap. It was an amazing experience. Hope everybody enjoyed it. Hope they got some laughs, some good entertainment.
This is Warriors Wrap Up on 95.7 The Game.
And that was pretty much the story of this one amid a stretch of 5 minutes and 1 second where the Warriors did not score in the final quarter as they went from the 5:47 mark to the 46-second mark without scoring down the stretch. The Warriors made 21 of 49 from three. Jordan Poole goes for 38. Klay Thompson, 31, but missed layups, passed up layups, as you hear on the call there from Tim Roy. Some bad defense as far as point of attack and in the paint. The Blazers get to the free throw line 32 times and make 31 of them. And the Warriors wind up losing again in close fashion on the road in a game where they had a lead. 125-122 is the final. We welcome you inside Warriors Wrap-Up here on 95.7 The Game. John Dickinson with you for the next hour. The phone line to participate in the program is 888-957-9570. As always, 888-957-9570. Appreciate everybody joining on YouTube and Twitch as well as we click that on here on 95.7 The Game. And, tough one for the Warriors. And, again, they are unable to get to 3 games over 500. The Warriors having multiple opportunities to do so this year, and they still haven't. They were 13-11, dropped 2, then 20-18, dropped 3, got to 26-24, and then dropped 2 to get right back to 500, back 2 games above 500, and another opportunity to get to 3, which would have been the high water mark for this team this season, and they lose again. So we'll see what happens on Saturday, but each time the Warriors have been a +2 to 500. They've lost at least 2 straight, and we'll see again what happens on Saturday as far as that goes. But this is one in a long line of frustrating road losses with the Warriors being in position to win, but having an inability to close the game down the stretch and take advantage of a team that really is not stellar defensively, but the lack of execution and the most galling, I think, component of the loss in the closing minutes is all of the layups that the Warriors passed up. There were multiple stretches in the final 5 minutes, really even more the final 3 minutes, where the Warriors could have attacked and taken, 3, 4 layups, but they chose to kick the ball back out and shoot threes off of those draw and kicks, and the Warriors did knock down 21-49 from 3. I mean, the three-point shooting, clearly not the reason they lost the game, but a little three-point happy the Warriors would get against a team that overall is just not good defensively on any level in the Portland Trail Blazers, and it felt as the Warriors would get down in this game and make a run, they had the 20-7 run right before the half, that it was just a very comfortable, loosely played game to where if you kept attacking, you thought the Warriors may have a shot to eventually be the team that might be able to put the clamp down for a couple of possessions and earn the victory. But I think that stretch for the Warriors, the 5:01 from that 5:46 down to the 46-second mark, when you pass up easy opportunities for threes, it doesn't matter if you're the top 3-point team in the NBA, at least as far as your percentage of points. It's not going to be able to get the job done, and it is just a confounding loss tonight. I mean, easy to explain, but it feels like, while slightly different in terms of the Warriors never had a double-digit lead at any point in this game, it just felt like this was one where they were in great position to get the job done down the stretch. But you look up at the end of the night, and that 5-minute stretch where they didn't score is crushing. You look at the fact that the Blazers got to the free throw line as often as they did, 32 times. They made 31 of 32 free throws, so a 22-point advantage for the Blazers at the free throw line against the Warriors. And foul trouble early, I think, set the Warriors in a position where they really couldn't use the size advantage that they may have been able to have with Kevon Looney and Draymond Green potentially on the floor together in stretches where it might have made them a little bit easier to be able to defend the Blazers down the stretch. But it just never – there was never any rhythm. Looney in foul trouble early, Looney in foul trouble again at the beginning of the third quarter, and it basically, as Steve Kerr mentioned in his post-game press conference, became a small ball game. It became a guard-oriented game, and that's a game where the Blazers are going to be a lot more comfortable. And I do think the Warriors' lack of size, not in terms of the roster composition necessarily, but just who was available for a majority of the portion of this game as far as due to the foul trouble of Kevon Looney, potentially led to some problems there. So it's a night where Jordan Poole scores 38 and is tremendous. Klay Thompson goes for 31, is terrific, although winds up shooting 28 shots. I thought tonight was the kind of night where early it felt like an extension of the other night where it was uber efficient, but as the game went on, it felt like Klay was hunting shots even after misses. And you look up and, Poole and Clay have to score a ton and shoot a ton, especially without Steph Curry. But Andrew Wiggins, 18-10 with 4 assists and 4 steals. And, they really got the offensive performance that you would need. Dante DiVincenzo pitched in 5 3-point makes, although a critical miss late after the Warriors had forced what looked like was going to be an 8-second call, but then it turned into a steal to a DiVincenzo 3, which was a wide-open miss, and then Portland's able to go back down the other way and put it in to basically lock this game up as they go on to win it 125-122. The Warriors benefited from points off turnovers tonight in this game. Typically, we've seen that go the other way for Golden State at times throughout the course of this season, but 21 turnovers for Portland, 30 points, but it's negated by the rebounding advantage of the Blazers, 47-35, and the fact that the Blazers were able to get to the free throw line and be a plus 22 at the free throw line, which helped to negate the advantage that the Warriors had as far as the 3-point line, out making Portland 21-8 there. And this was the first game all season that the Blazers didn't make 10 threes and won a game. But if you're getting to the free throw line at the level that the Blazers were getting to the free throw line, it helps to offset that, and it allows a team like Portland to walk out of Moda Center tonight with a victory. And with each win, it seemingly, you look at the standings and you think, hey, the Warriors have got a shot to make a run in this thing. And then with each defeat, you look at the way things stack up, and really 3 through 13, but more closely 4 through 13 right now. And the Warriors finding themselves in a position where they dip now back from 7th to 9th. Portland joins the conversation with their win, and there's just one game separating these two teams now. Warriors at 28-27, Portland at 27-28, and they've split the season series with 2 more games to go between now and the end of this thing. And for as much as the Warriors would like to believe that they're significantly better than the Portlands and the Utahs and the Minnesotas of the world, the reality is the inability to string together some wins has put the Warriors in a spot where they're just still right in this glut of mediocrity as everyone turns their attention now toward the trade deadline of tomorrow and what will be done then. Already some moves trickling in tonight. San Antonio's traded Jakob Poeltl to Toronto tonight. More details on that coming up as well. And also just within the last 2 seconds, Woj and Shams both are reporting that the Phoenix Suns are closing in on a trade for Kevin Durant. So, that one is obviously one to keep an eye on. Of course, you had Kyrie Irving going from Brooklyn to Dallas. Dallas got a win against the Clippers tonight in Kyrie Irving's first game, and now it looks like Kevin Durant may be on the move as well, with the Phoenix Suns potentially acquiring Durant in a deal. And it looks like as the news comes in here on Warriors Wrap-Up on 95.7 The Game, Durant is going to Phoenix per Shams in a package including Mikal Bridges, Cam Johnson, and 4 first-round picks. 4 first-round picks plus other draft compensation. So, wow. I mean, that's a blockbuster kind of a deal, with the Suns giving up a couple of wings, but going all in now for Kevin Durant as his time in Brooklyn, with Kyrie's time in Brooklyn being gone. That is a blockbuster, and that is a game changer in the Western Conference. And that is, the Suns had already won 3 consecutive games to get to 30-26 and move all the way up to 5th. But that would put the Suns, I think, at a point where they may be the favorite in the Western Conference with Devin Booker and Durant and obviously Chris Paul still around, and now Chris Haynes joining the party as well. So all of the big boys, as far as NBA reporters from Woj to Shams to Haynes, all in on this Kevin Durant to the Phoenix Suns, which is a game changer in a big-time way in the Western Conference. 888-957-9570, 888-957-9570. If you want to react to that, feel free to do so. It's John Dickinson here on Warriors Wrap-Up on 95.7 The Game. Also, D'Angelo Russell earlier tonight going from Minnesota back to the Lakers in a 3-team trade involving Mike Conley going to Minnesota, Utah sending Vanderbilt along with Malik Beasley to the Lakers as well as they look to improve off of being 25-30. Looks like Utah's packing it in. They got blown out by Minnesota, who will then take Conley. And so, yeah, this is a big-time night. And usually it comes down to Thursday morning and afternoon, but a lot going on tonight as far as the NBA trade deadline, and it looks like Kevin Durant's on the move among some of the other moves that we've seen here over the last 24 hours. All right, let's get to the phones. Armand in San Jose. Armand, you're on Warriors Wrap-Up here on 95.7 The Game. Appreciate you waiting, but I wanted to get the news out about Kevin Durant. Looks like he's on the move to the Phoenix Suns.
Yeah, no, that's cool, Jetty. What's up? Okay, so that kind of leads towards my call. Simply put, because, the Vanderbilt trade, a lot of Warrior fans were talking about getting Vanderbilt. I heard about Jakob Poeltl. Now, with this Kevin Durant move, if you were going to trade James Wiseman and really upgrade your season, that's the move you make, what Phoenix just did, because that elevates you. These other guys people are talking about, what I see with this team, and JD, you pretty honest about what you see with the Warriors. What you saw tonight is a prime example of what has plagued them all season, and it's been the starters. Turnovers, lack of clutch fourth-quarter scoring, making critical mistakes at the wrong time, not getting a lot of these loose balls, these 50-50 balls. Like, in other words, simply put, JD, we're doing the opposite of what we did last year, playing winning basketball to close out these games, because you're not going to blow out every team by 25 points. The run that we had for years is a once-in-a-lifetime thing. You're going to have to find ways to gut out some victories. You're going to learn how to fight off blowing a 13-point lead, getting it down to 5 or 6, and still holding on to win. We were able to do that last year. We're not doing that this year, and that's with the core guys. There is no trade outside of getting a superstar that will save this team this year. I'm trying to tell every Warrior fan that I know. James Wiseman, get off all this nonsense about how you have to trade this guy for marginal players. We are the defending champs, and we begging for Jakob Poeltl and Kelly Olynyk to save our season. That tells you all you need to know. And as far as the Steph Curry timeline, I'm tired of the media talking about this. Steph Curry hurts the timeline by getting hurt. He's gotten hurt every year, and he's hurt twice this year. The timeline got messed up when he and Clay were hurt the first year in 2019-2020, and then Clay got hurt again. So I'm sorry to tell Warrior fans, we lost 2 years because of injury. Getting the chip last year, in my opinion, bought us time to play these youngsters to see if they were worth keeping, so that come this summer, you can retool and go hard after it. These other teams are in better positions that we're in, and I don't know why people have just not taken that into account. Bottom line is you can't win every year, but if these starters had did their job instead of blowing all these games just like they've blown a game tonight, I mean, we missed layups. We passed up 2 layups. Draymond Green had a layup that he passed up to throw in the corner for an open 3 that we missed. Wiggins, nice defensive play. You had the layup. You threw it to DiVincenzo. You make that layup, we down 2. You go back, you play the same pressure defense with 19 seconds left. Maybe we get the ball back. You foul, do the free throw game, whatever, right? But the point is, we're not making smart IQ plays and winning plays with the guys who won the chip last year. If those guys don't fix it, I don't care who you bring in unless you get a Kevin Durant to help save you. And that is the point the media, the fans, and everybody else need to take into account. Don't blame nobody but Steve Kerr.
All right, thanks, Armand. I'm gonna jump in on that point. And here's the deal. I think the Warriors had the intentions of coming into this year and playing the young guys and having the young guys be a part of it, and it's been one of the many fails for this team this season is the fact that the young guys have not either been able to contribute to help this team consistently, with the exception of Kuminga over the last, say, 6 weeks or so. Although Kuminga was bad tonight, that happens. Young players are not going to play well every single night, even Kuminga, as talented as he is. But here's the deal as far as the young players go. They've been unable to contribute to help this team, and their value has also been hurt. To where, Armand, you bring up going and getting somebody like Durant or a star, the Warriors have no shot to go get Durant or to go get a star because the young players that they have on the roster are not good enough, and some of their picks are tied up as far as when they can trade them, and Jordan Poole is still a $4 million player and not a $30 million player. So you look at all of that, and the Warriors are just not in a position to be able to make some kind of a move like that. So then the question becomes, do you like your top 5, 6, 7? And I think the Warriors do like their top 5, 6, 7 and believe that the top 5, 6, 7 could hold this team up to a higher level than they've been able to. And then you have injuries factor into the equation on top of that, which have prevented this Warriors team from being able to gain any momentum. But they haven't been able to gain it when they were healthy. And then it looks like potentially they're going to be able to do it with Steph out, as crazy as that sounds. But it's been the same kind of thing. Every time the Warriors are about to get on a little bit of a run, there's a game like tonight. Poor execution down the stretch and closing. Poor defense as far as allowing teams to attack them on the perimeter and get into the paint for buckets. Size, I do think, was an issue tonight, but again, it was more because Kevon Looney was in foul trouble than somebody they don't necessarily have on the roster. And it just some bad shots and a couple of tough stretches, and the Warriors just are unable to overcome their bad stretches at the level that they've been able to overcome those stretches in the past. And now, and that was one of the questions I was going to throw out tonight at 888-957-9570. It's, should the Warriors make a move, and is there really a move to make? Like, is there a move that is worth making if it means you're giving up James Wiseman or Moses Moody, let's say, for a role player, for somebody that is your eighth man, that comes in after Jordan Poole and Dante DiVincenzo and maybe even Jonathan Kuminga on the right? Is there a value in that? And is there somebody that could come in and know that they're going to play a lot of minutes and maybe supplant one of those players in the rotation and push somebody back to where they have a little bit more of a limited role, a player that is your eighth or your ninth man on paper, but also still could be somebody that is an option to close games with Steph and Clay and Draymond and Wiggins as well. Is there somebody that good that would be worthy of that type of – that's the question. They would be worthy of that type of respect among the championship core, but also the coaching staff to where they can make some kind of an impact. That's the question. Because I think if you can find a player like that, then maybe you would consider trading a Wiseman if you could. But I just don't think you can get even that kind of a player at this point for Wiseman or Moody, considering the fact that their value has been hurt by, one, the inability for them to be on the floor, but how ineffective they've been when they have been on the floor. 888-957-9570. 888-957-9570. It's Warriors wrap-up here on 95.7 The Game. Blazers beat the Warriors 125-122, so Golden State now 7-21 on the road, as the Warriors are 28-27 overall, back at home for the next couple of days off as the trade deadline hits tomorrow at noon Pacific, and then the Warriors with the Lakers and the Wizards over the Saturday-Monday part of the weekend, and then they take on the Clippers down in Southern California before the All-Star break hits. A lot of breaking news tonight, again, keeping everybody updated. The Phoenix Suns now, according to multiple reports, are acquiring Kevin Durant from the Brooklyn Nets. Durant reportedly wanted to go to Brooklyn in the aftermath of the Kyrie Irving trade from Brooklyn to Dallas, and the Suns are sending Mikal Bridges, Cam Johnson, Jay Crowder, and 4 first-round picks plus a 2028 pick swap for Durant. TJ Warren is going as well from Brooklyn to Phoenix in the deal. But you look at the Suns, they are, because you can't trade your picks every single year, your first-round picks in consecutive years, 23, 25, 27, and 29 first-round picks are all going out. So this year's first plus 25s, 2027, 29, and then there's a pick swap because you can't blatantly trade your pick in consecutive years. So there's a swap in the 2028 draft as well for Phoenix and Brooklyn, to where Brooklyn, if the pick from Phoenix is better, they get to take that pick and ship the other pick going back the other way. So that is a blockbuster. It impacts the Western Conference. I think you could make the case that the Phoenix Suns, with Devin Booker and Kevin Durant and Chris Paul, now vault to, if not the 1 spot, the 2 spot in the West, presuming that Kevin Durant comes back and is healthy, as far as just favorites to come out of the West. So this does, I think, deal the Warriors a little bit of a blow as far as what we've talked about a lot, which is the hopes of, well, you get in the tournament and anything's possible and it doesn't matter the seeding and all of that. I mean, the Suns are coming to be a top 3 team right now. And they're already, when you look at it, 2 games back of Sacramento at the close of business tonight. I'd be surprised if the Suns are not top 2, top 3 in the Western Conference. I think 2 even for them is on the table. They're 4 games back of Memphis, but 2-3 regardless. Kevin Durant on the move. Jakob Poeltl going from San Antonio to Toronto, and then we laid out the trade from earlier with Russell Westbrook on the move. He goes from the Lakers to Utah. Also, you look at the Lakers reacquiring D'Angelo Russell. Obviously, they picked him with the number 2 pick in the draft going back a few years ago. And a lot of other players on the move. Vanderbilt and Beasley are going from Utah to the Lakers. Westbrook going to Utah, where it sounds like he's going to get bought out. And Mike Conley goes from Utah up to Minnesota. Those 2 teams played tonight in Salt Lake City, and the Timberwolves blew out the Jazz tonight in a big-time way. 888-957-9570. Let's go to Tim in North Carolina next here on Warriors Wrap-Up. What's going on tonight, Tim? How you doing, my man?
What's up, Jay? How you doing, man? Look, I had to get out of the bed and come call you, man. I don't think I've agreed with a call like I'm on with every single point. I couldn't agree more to where I had to make the call. I mean, I'm trading no one. No one. You do not win the title every year. It's not a God-given right that it's going to happen every year. You can't expect 4-time champions to come to the regular season and go all in. They're not going to be as hungry. They don't have the energy. The guys are older. I think it was botched from the beginning. You know how I feel. I'm not trading Wiseman. I'm not trading nobody. From the beginning, we should have just went all in. Yes, if we lost games because the young guys couldn't do it and we lost it, whatever. You develop them and you go all in. And you know what? What he just said was perfect. If you do all of that, and then summertime, you got to reset and reboot. That's what you do. But for just think you're going to win every year, it's just not going to happen. So I'm trading no one. I mean, you don't. How often does a dynasty have a chance towards the end or the middle to get 3 top 14 picks? I'm not trading anybody. I don't care if it takes 2-3 years down the road for them to all be developed. You just don't do it. So I think the whole thing was botched from the beginning. And I think, when the injuries came, you got the mix of the hangover. You got the mix of you didn't trust the young guys to keep them on the court. When I say, you know what, leave them out there. And if you throw some, you throw some. You just got to take your lumps. But to think you're going to win it every single year is absolutely absurd. It just doesn't happen. So, Armand, I don't know. I never met you. I'm with you 100%, top to bottom. I'm not doing it, JD. And as a Warriors fan, I understand it.
No, I appreciate it, Tim. Look, a lot of Warrior fans feel that way. Again, I'd be reluctant, and I'm not as high on Wiseman as you are, clearly. but I'd be reluctant to think that I'm going to trade James Wiseman at this point for an 8th or a 9th man. And I totally understand if that's not a path that the Warriors want to go down. I get it, because an 8th or a 9th man. Now, if it's somebody that, again, you think can help you win a bunch of games down the stretch because he's a closer, then that's a different conversation. But I don't know that player necessarily exists for the Warriors to be had. If that player does, maybe we see some action tomorrow at the deadline, but I think the Warriors, as has been reported a bunch, they're grappling with what they should try to do as far as who would be available and what the ask would be in return. And there's the financial components to it, which I know the Warriors will jump off that bridge when they have to. I don't think there's any rush to say that player X or Y has to be moved right now because of some of the financial ramifications and the luxury tax and everything that's going on with that moving forward. So I just don't think you want to do something in a panic or because you feel like you have to. You want to make moves because you feel like they're going to benefit your team and are going to help this team make a run. And if that can't happen, unfortunately, the best thing to do might just be to stand pat. And as far as looking at this season, I think the Warriors did come in, and I know I'm going to be a little redundant here, but I think they came in to this season believing that they could play the young players night in, night out, and have them be able to be effective enough to where it wasn't going to completely wreck games. And I think they found out in those first 10 games that the young players were a lot farther behind what they had anticipated. Who's to blame for that? I think there's blame to go around. And sure, the lack of trust is part of it, but the reason there's a lack of trust is because of how poorly even Kuminga played at the beginning of the year, to where he was benched and pulled from the rotation multiple times. It's a different Kuminga now than it was then, but Kuminga didn't deserve to play at the beginning of the year. He deserves to play now because he's worked and done the things that the coaching staff has asked him to do. So I think it did get off the rails. I think there were some games that they let get away early where they were kind of coasting and not playing a lot of defense. And I think the veterans thought they could win those games late, and they didn't. And it all kind of snowballed to a point where they thought, got to get our act together. And then right when they were starting to get their act together in early December, then the injuries came. And then they got knocked back under 500 by a few and had to hold it up without Steph. And then Steph came back, and it was supposed to be the time where the switch got flipped, and it didn't. And I think that's where there have been a number of these games where it's been a little bit of everything. And I know Steve Kerr's addressed this a lot, the fact that at the beginning of the year, the bench was a mess, and the starters were playing fine, but they were kind of cruising. And then the bench started playing better, and the core guys were either hurt or not playing as well consistently. And then you've had Klay Thompson going off over the last 6 to 8 weeks, but hasn't consistently had the help that he's needed on a night-in, night-out basis because Steph was out and Wiggins was out. And so you didn't at any point maximize the good to where you could build yourself a cushion. And now you add it all up and you look at where the Warriors are at, and they still are unable to get to where they're beyond 2 games above the 500 mark. All right, 888-957-9570. Phone line's open if you want to react to the blockbuster Kevin Durant trade. He's going to Phoenix. Where does that leave the Warriors in the Western Conference? Do the Warriors have to make a move? Is there even a move for this team to make at this point that can be a difference-making kind of a move? As the Warriors get beat tonight by the Blazers 125-122. We'll come back, and we'll keep it rolling here on 95.7 The Game.
Guys, fellas, men, are you ready? I mean, Roman ready for Valentine's Day? Some say it's the sexiest day of the year. Flowers, chocolates, candlelit dinners. That's all great. But I think we all want something a little more physical, too. Because a strong sex life can deepen your feelings of intimacy with your partner and lead to increased happiness. So if you're prepping for Valentine's Day, right now is the perfect time to check out Roman. Roman has genuine medication that helps you achieve and maintain a strong erection. Roman has discreet wipes that help you last 4 times longer in bed. Roman has testosterone testing and treatment. Treating low testosterone can help revive your sex drive. And better yet, with Roman, everything is online. There are no waiting rooms and no hassle. Roman sends everything right to your door with free shipping and in discreet packaging. So, men, for better sex this Valentine's Day, go to ro.co/VDay. Do it today and get 20% off. That's ro.co/VDay.
Thank you to all of the business owners who kept people employed during the pandemic. For all you've done, you may be eligible to claim the Employee Retention Tax Credit, a payroll tax refund from the United States Treasury Department, applicable to businesses who kept employees on payroll during the pandemic. The window is closing to claim your refund. Contact Paychex to see if you qualify. Paychex is proud to have helped more than 45,000 businesses secure over $9.2 billion in ERTC claims, an average of $190,000 per business. 50 years and thousands of experts in HR, payroll, benefits, and insurance. You may be eligible to claim the Employee Retention Tax Credit, a payroll tax refund from the United States Treasury Department, applicable to businesses who kept employees on payroll during the pandemic. The window is closing to claim your refund. Contact Paychex to see if you qualify. Visit paychex.com/ERTC to find out how Paychex can help you get additional cash into your business. Paychex.com/ERTC. Paychex.com/ERTC.
It's not easy being the one everyone counts on to keep your operation running, no matter the weather or supply chain hiccup. But we get you, Raymond in Buffalo, Maria in Miami, and Jules in Troy, taking control of everything that's under your control. At Grainger, we're here for you with high-quality supplies for every industry, plus real-time product availability and access to experts ready to help. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
If you owe back taxes to the IRS, have unfiled returns, or are worried about an audit, the IRS is hiring 87,000 new agents to address these very issues. That means if you need to get your tax problems resolved, now is the time to get started. I'm tax attorney Robert Goldstein, and my firm specializes in helping individuals and small businesses resolve their tax problems. We work to stop IRS and state seizures. We may be able to settle your tax debt for pennies on the dollar with an offer in compromise. We prepare your past due returns, even if you have no records, and represent you before the IRS and state in an audit. At the law offices of Robert Goldstein, the consultation is always free, and we have offices located throughout the Bay Area. To schedule your free consultation, call 1-888-TAX-EXIT. That's 888-TAX-EXIT. 888-TAX-EXIT, and make us your last stop.
Tune in to 95.7 The Game for Warriors Live, 60 minutes before tip-off of every Warriors game. Brought to you by Xfinity. Supercharge your home with supersonic Wi-Fi. Unbeatable internet, only from Xfinity.
Life is uncertain. It's okay to feel stressed, anxious, worried, or frustrated. CalHope can help. Access CalHope's free and secure mental health resources. Call 833-317-4673 or live chat at calhope.org.
Did you know Nissan EVs have traveled 8 billion miles? Just a quick trip to Pluto and back. And what did we learn along the way? Well, that an EV can take on the world, like the Nissan Leaf. It can move racing forward and take your breath away, like the all-new Nissan Ariya. We learned to make EVs that electrify. 8 billion miles driven by Leaf owners globally since 2010. Ariya not yet available for purchase. Expected availability late fall, subject to change.
Meet Joe A,
Hi.
Joe B,
Hello.
and Joe C.
What's up?
3 everyday Joes perfecting their banking with Chase. Joe A is locking his lost debit card with the Chase mobile app. Joe B is cruising toward his new ride with AutoSave. And Joe C's Chase banker is helping him budget to go back to school. Tools that help protect, support for what's next. One bank that puts you in control. Visit chase.com/checking. Chase, make more of what's yours.
Chase mobile app is available for select mobile devices. Messaging and data rates may apply. JP Morgan Chase Bank, N.A. member FDIC.
Chris, this needs to go to Parkville by 3.
Joy to the holiday packages that keep coming at Jimenez Couriers.
It's coming your way, but the drop-off location is changing.
She needs delivery drivers with the gift of punctuality.
Anyone looking to pick up some overtime? Anyone?
Indeed can help her hire great people fast.
I need Indeed.
Indeed you do. We instantly connect you with quality candidates whose resumes on Indeed match your job description. Visit Indeed.com/credit and get $75 towards your first sponsored job. Terms and conditions apply.
That the superstars getting together.
Poole, bounce pass to Draymond, back to the basket, back cut, Dante goes up and slammed it down with the right hand, got fouled on the play, are you kidding me? Dante DiVincenzo with a little elevation sensation that time.
Now back to Warriors Wrap-Up on 95.7 The Game.
All right, Warriors lose to the Blazers, 125-122. John Dickinson back here on Warriors Wrap-Up on 95.7 The Game. 888-957-9570, reacting to some breaking news. A couple of trades have gone down in the NBA, including a blockbuster just since I've been on the air just before 10 o'clock here, including Kevin Durant. Just resetting that. Kevin Durant is on the move. He's coming back to the Western Conference, and he is being traded now via multiple reports from Brooklyn to Phoenix in a package that will send Mikal Bridges along with Cameron Johnson and Jay Crowder all to Brooklyn, along with 4 future Suns first-round draft picks. TJ Warren is coming back as well with Durant to Phoenix, but the Suns are sending their 2023, 25, 27, and 29 first-round picks to Brooklyn for Kevin Durant as he joins a Phoenix team that's played much better of late. They held their season together after getting off to a great start, and they played a good chunk of the schedule without Devin Booker and Chris Paul, and they were really at a low water mark when they came into Chase and beat the Warriors back on January the 10th. And they've played much better basketball since then. They've won 8 of 10, actually 9 of 11 overall, and 3 in a row as they've gotten healthier. And now they're set up to make a big move, and it almost happened in the offseason, but the Nets at that point in time had balked at it and wanted to continue to give Durant and Kyrie Irving one more go. But with Kyrie asking out a couple of days ago, consequently being shipped to Dallas, the Nets have pivoted, and it sounds like, according to the reporting from Shams and from Woj, that Durant and Brooklyn, once the Kyrie domino fell, were collaborating in what the best situation would be for Durant and for Brooklyn to obviously accumulate players and future assets in some kind of a trade. And so KD is coming back to the Western Conference for the Phoenix Suns, who are pretty loaded. When you look at Devin Booker and Kevin Durant as a 1-2 punch, they've still got DeAndre Ayton, who now becomes really a third or a fourth option. Of course, they've still got Chris Paul, and so that is a talented team that I think could be in the conversation now among being the favorites in the Western Conference to win the Western Conference. I think they're right up there with Denver and Memphis. Memphis has been floundering of late as well. And so, yeah, the Suns are coming. And I think you got to wonder, as it pivots back to the Warriors here, is that a death blow in a sense to the Warriors' hopes of going back to back? Because the thought did cross my mind in looking at really the moves of the last couple of days, and the Mavs are better, I think, than they were, although not a lot of defense going to be played with Luka and Kyrie in the backcourt, but that's a team that could score 120 plus on any given night. But I think the Mavs are better, and regardless of who you think wins a series between the Warriors or the Mavs, if both are healthy, I think that the Warriors obviously could win a series, but the Mavs are better equipped to get on a little bit of a run in the standings here between now and the end of the year. The Lakers are beneath the Warriors, and we talked about it on Warriors Live earlier, the fact that the Lakers-Minnesota trade along with Utah, that Utah and Minnesota, I don't know, did a lot to get better, but I think the Lakers are somebody that's going to be coming from the back end of the standings to try and get into the mix with where the Warriors are at, and they're only a couple of games off the pace right now. If you look at the Lakers as things currently sit, they're only 3 games back of the Warriors, and so I think they got better. And then the Suns clearly are a team that, right now, 5th, 2 games out of 3rd. I'd be stunned if the Phoenix Suns aren't at a minimum the 3rd best team in the Western Conference when it's all said and done. But that is a formidable opponent now, and I think potential favorite in the Western Conference with Durant coming aboard. So keeping everybody updated on that as KD's coming to Phoenix. Also, where does that leave the Warriors as far as what they have to do between now and noon Pacific tomorrow? We've had a couple of callers saying don't do anything at this point. Don't trade any of the young players for role players, and that's the reality, I think, of what we're dealing with at this point. The Warriors just do not have enough value attached to their young players to be able to come up with some kind of a deal that would have been anywhere close to what Brooklyn just got as far as the future picks, and also a couple of pretty good young players in Mikal Bridges and Cam Johnson, as well as Jay Crowder, who goes back the other way. 888-957-9570, 888-957-9570. So how you feeling about the West? Do the Warriors have to make a move between now and the deadline as they lose this one tonight to the Blazers? Tough down the stretch again in the fourth quarter. 125-122 is the final. Let's get to Tony in Alameda here on Warriors Wrap-Up on 95.7 The Game. What's going on, Tony?
Hey, good evening. Good evening. Thank you for taking my call. I just turned on my radio here, and then my son just told me that KD went to Phoenix, and I said, oh, no, here we go. And I got thinking, well, I think that's it for the Warriors. If you don't get a big man, someone who would help Looney and Green, that's it. We need somebody out there, a big guy who would block, get the rebound. Don't have to be the points, you know. And I think that our injury is kind of killing us right now. We're just a 500 team. You know, you win 2, you lose 2, you win 1, you lose 3. We're going back and forth. We're not going to catch Phoenix right now. They're going to go all the way now. Now let's knock on wood, nothing happened to KD. And you got Booker in there, and you got Aiton out there. Oh, that's a team to beat right now, to be honest. And, you know, you got Boston in Eastern Conference. We have a lot of work to do. We lose to Portland right now, and despite you got Jordan Poole scoring 30-plus and oh, God, the other kickback there who scored like 33 points, we still lost. Our turnover is killing us right now. No, Klay Thompson, he was good, but suddenly we didn't score in the last, 3-4 minutes in there. We got to get together here. Bottom line, we need a big man to help Green and Looney.
Yeah, thanks for the call. We'll see what the Warriors do. I know a lot of Warrior fans are adamant they need a big man. I just don't see a big man playing significant minutes in key junctures of games. Like, do you need another body? Sure, you can say you need another body, but I think, you know, the type player you're talking about is probably somebody you'd be more apt to get on the buyout market than somebody you'd be willing to trade young, you know, first-round level talent for, especially first-round talent that probably doesn't have the full value that it has, you know, or that it once had. I mean, and again, I just keep coming back to the fact that the Warriors' young players don't have as much value as they did even coming into this season. The 480 saying the Suns better hope they stay healthy. Booker, KD, and Chris Paul have all been hurt this year. No question. No question. If one... Obviously, if Booker or Durant in particular were to go down, then that would change the complexion of the Western Conference. I don't think there's any doubt about it. My guy Sterling, running the show in the studio tonight, hit me with any chance the Nets buy out Jay Crowder. That's an interesting one. I think that's possible. Although I do think Brooklyn is trying to compete and contend the best they can. Now, obviously, they don't have any superstars now, but they still have Spencer Dinwiddie for the time being, and Cam Thomas has been a bucket lately. And, you know, now you're adding Bridges, obviously, and Cam Johnson, who are good players. So I think when you look at Brooklyn, you know, does Brooklyn fall? They're 10 games over 500. I mean, the Warriors would die to be with the record that Brooklyn has right now. And so I don't see Brooklyn completely plummeting to a point where, you know, with 30 games to go, they're, you know, 10-20 over the 30 games. So they're probably going to be good enough to, at a minimum, get in the play-in tournament, if not still into a playoff spot. But I do think Brooklyn has a lot of moves that they still can make tomorrow. And I wonder how open for business Brooklyn would be with some of the players that they have acquired in this trade that's going to be going down tonight. And obviously all of that would have to be official before before other moves can be made. But yeah, I'd be all over Jay Crowder if I'm the Warriors and he turns into a buyout type player. And I'll give you another thing, just thinking about it as far as Durant going to Phoenix and how it changes the complexion of the Western Conference, is just the fact that Phoenix now is more a team where I think buyout players are going to want to go. I think they'd become a ring-chasing destination, if you will, for some of these players that may get bought out and looking for roles on teams to where they can help contend for a championship. And so I think that's something to keep an eye on here moving forward. Are there players that the Warriors could have maybe acquired via the buyout market that would have helped, that now maybe are a little bit more inclined to go elsewhere? And that was something that, you look at free agents and who wants to come and the like. I mean, the Warriors were able, I think, to get a guy as talented and as young as Dante DiVincenzo this offseason because they won a title last year, because they were viewed as a team that was right up there and had the potential to be in it again. I think we saw going back a couple of years ago that, some of those buyout players, if you're not super sure that the Warriors are contending and able to win a championship, then maybe you look elsewhere to another team that might give you a better shot. But yeah, Sterling, I'd be all over Jay Crowder if he was somebody that Brooklyn was looking to buy out, and I'd plop him right on the Warriors roster as a 3-and-D wing and somebody that should be fresh, right? Because he hasn't played at all at any point this season, essentially shut down. Suns hung on to him. What are you going to do? And he ends up being part of the package for Kevin Durant, as Durant again goes from Brooklyn to Phoenix. The breaking news here within the last half hour for Mikal Bridges, Cam Johnson, TJ Warren is going from Brooklyn back to Phoenix, and 4 first-round picks are going with the Suns package. 2023 first-rounder, 25, 27, and 29. There's also a pick swap involved in 28 as well between Brooklyn and Phoenix. And so Durant coming back to the Western Conference. The 510 on the text line, do you think trades around the West make it easier for Bob Myers to walk and take a job with the NBA or an East Coast team? Do the Warriors stand firm now, as far as just, I think stand pat now is what the 510 on the Xfinity mobile line is asking. I do think everything impacts everything. And I think the internal conversation that the Warriors are going to have here in the next 13 hours and 15 minutes is, do you think you can still win it? Do you think this team can still win it? And I think they would be hopeful that they can. Like, I think probably when they're in a room, they would probably say yes. If about 5, 6, 8 different things go right, they still could win it. But I do think this Phoenix trade makes it tougher, without a doubt. And I think that, not that you're going to tear anything down or look to subtract necessarily if you're the Warriors. I think as of a few days to a week ago, this team was still real confident that they could get on a roll and get into the tournament, and then the West was going to be so wide open that they could make a run. But now you have to wonder, do the Suns become more of the type of team that has the multiple star players, and that's the team that you look to as far as being a team to beat as far as the Western Conference goes, at least more than there was any other team. Now, Denver had kind of been the de facto number one team. They got Porter back. They got Jamal Murray back. Jokic still playing at an MVP level, and they've been playing better than anybody as Memphis has faltered of late, and there's a lot of drama and nonsense going on around the Memphis situation. And then you had surprising Sacramento, who's been just a tick above the glut of mediocrity for the last month or month plus. And so they're just kind of hanging around there, and you're wondering among Phoenix and Dallas and the Warriors who can get on that run to push toward the top. And it looks like Phoenix has vaulted everybody with the move that they made tonight. So 888-957-9570, 888-957-9570. Let's go to Brian in Belmont next here on Warriors Wrap-Up on 95.7 The Game. Hey, Brian, you're on with JD tonight. What's going on, my man?
How y'all doing tonight?
Good.
So you know what I think the problem is? You got to think about how horrible the West Coast is if all the West Coast teams right now are trying to build teams to win the championship. None of those guys are going to win the championship. It's still going to be Boston or some Milwaukee or some team that was already solid. When was Kevin Durant actually healthy since he left the Warriors? I don't think these trades really matter that much, and I don't think the Warriors should dump their youth. I think they should work on building their youth up at least another year or figure out where they're at, you know what I mean, during the summer. But I think we need to give up on focusing on the first thing is the championship and just focus on team solidarity and winning games right now.
Yeah, I think that's an area where the Warriors are not. I think they're going to be reluctant to do that at this point. They're too good at this point to say we're pivoting toward full-blown development. Guys are going to get their minutes at all costs, and if it costs you games, it costs you games. Like I think that's the kind of move you would make if you were completely out of the race at this point, and the Warriors are not completely out of the race. And in fact, if anything, I think they're, as we've talked about a lot, confident that maybe they can hang in the race a little bit. But again, it's also, I think, a value question, and I keep coming back to it. It's what are you going to get? Like if you go back to the offseason and even the last, let's say, year and a half of what could you get for James Wiseman and Moses Moody and Jonathan Kuminga, and if it's a package of two of those three plus maybe a Jordan Poole, or if Wiggins had to be involved to make some of the high-end salaries matches, like all of the conversations surrounding the Warriors' young players were conversations about whether you could get a star player back, and the belief was that you could get a star player back for a combination of that. Like that's not even close to a possibility right now. It's just it's not even close. And so at that point, it almost becomes what's the point as far as including them in any kind of deal that's going to be middling that might help you a little bit, but isn't necessarily going to put you over the top to winning a championship. Because I think stars are off the table unless you're talking about trading stars. And I think the Warriors like their star players and their championship core to a point where you're not giving up any of them. I think even a guy like Kuminga, would you trade Kuminga? Like Kuminga is the one player that might be able to get you a solid role, like a guy that could come in and maybe be the sixth or the seventh man type of a role player. But do you want to give up Kuminga for that level of player and then know that you don't have him on the roster moving forward? I think that's the tricky part, because he starts to tantalize and make you think that maybe he could be a high-end type of a player moving forward as he continues to develop and might be somebody that pushes being an all-star in 3 to 5 years, down the line. And then that's the kind of thing but also can help you in ways that really make a lot of sense for this Warriors team now too. So he is threading the needle of what Jordan Poole did exceptionally well, which is develop while also helping a team down the stretch 2 years ago and helping a team last year win an NBA championship. Kuminga is starting to become that kind of a player. Didn't play well tonight, but he's starting to become that kind of player that can thread the needle, that can develop while also helping you now. Wiseman and Moody have just not been able to do that at all. They're not developing and they're not helping you now. And I think if you look to trade either one of them, you'd be looking to trade them low. 510 on the Xfinity Mobile text line. Isn't Westbrook going to be a buyout player? Yes, it does look like Westbrook is going to be a buyout player with Utah. The early reports are the Clippers are interested in Russell Westbrook if he's bought out by Utah, which it sounds like he will be, and Chicago are the players that will be, or the players, that the teams that will be players in looking at Russell Westbrook. 240, JD, the mistake that you and those who don't want to make a trade are making is this: if the Warriors don't make the playoffs or lose in the first round, it will be the end of Dre. Minus Dre, this team is no longer a dynasty and would be vastly different. Kerr and Myers might also be released. Well, that is the case to be made to make a move, but if you but I just don't think the Warriors are acting from a position of desperation like that. I don't think the Warriors look at it like they have to do everything they possibly can to give yourself any kind of shot at winning a title. Like, I think they believe they could win a title, like I said a couple of minutes ago, if certain things break their way. You know, I'm just saying that the value play might be to do nothing at this point. And that might be the best of all worlds. It doesn't hurt your chances of winning a title either, because the player you bring back probably can't help your chances of winning a title. You know, as much as the sting of giving up on a player that might develop into something. I just think when you look around the league, and I'm sure we'll see some reporting on this in the next couple of days, the types of players that the Warriors could get for Wiseman and Moody would probably make you want to, you know, throw up a little bit in your mouth. Like, to put it really bluntly. You know, it just, like, I would think it would be surprising that level of player that Wiseman and or Moody would attract. Like, I think there are a lot of Warrior fans that probably don't like Jakob Poeltl. You weren't even getting Jakob Poeltl at this point for a guy like Wiseman. That's how much his value had plummeted, I think. And other teams can sense, hey, Wiseman's not playing. You know, is he? Teams are always going to want to try to take advantage of a situation, and I think the Warriors fall into that as well, where, you know, teams are going to want to try to get the Warriors to make a panic move. You know, there may be a team out there that thinks Wiseman's awesome and thinks he's a future star, but they know the Warriors are in a position right now where they don't have that leverage because he hasn't shown that in the time that he's actually played for the Warriors. So if you're another team, you want to buy low. You want to get Wiseman without having to give up a lot, because that's how you win the trade and get a guy that you think can be a future star. It's not that Wiseman isn't going to be this or that. It's a value play. It's a value game. Now that's how all of these things get dissected. All right, we'll call it a night on that note. Man, what a night across the NBA, and still about 13 hours to go between now and the NBA trade deadline. Tough one for the Warriors tonight as they lose again without Steph Curry. So that makes them now, 7-6 in the last 13 games that they've played without Steph Curry. Tough down the stretch for the Warriors as they are unable to get to 3 games over 500, and just a tough night. They hit 21 threes. You get Poole and Klay Thompson go for 69 points combined in this one. They hit 14 threes between the two of them, but the Blazers get to the line 32 times, have 66 points in the paint, and the Warriors go 5 minutes down the stretch without scoring, and then get dealt what could potentially be a death blow by the Suns acquiring Kevin Durant. So we'll see what happens, and either way, we'll reconvene on Saturday with Warriors This Week from 10 to 1 here on 95.7 The Game. Join me and Whitey Gleason as we'll have that for you. Warriors and the Lakers at Chase. That's going to be a fun one, as always. The new look Lakers with some different key pieces added to their roster over the course of the last 12 hours or so. D'Angelo Russell back with L.A., Jared Vanderbilt, Malik Beasley. The Lakers have gotten better, and that's a team that the Warriors still face 3 more times. They have not been to L.A. to play the Clippers or the Lakers at this point, so 3 more games head-to-head between the Warriors and now the Lakers with their new look roster between now and the end of the season. And look for a Warriors Weekly podcast as well. Me and Steiny are going to work out a time to drop that probably after his show with Guru tomorrow. So look for that tomorrow evening, post-trade deadline edition. Potentially we do it on Friday morning. But all of that reacting to what the Warriors do or don't do and the rest of what the NBA has done here to this point at the trade deadline. So thanks to Sterling Bennett in our San Francisco studios. Great job pitching in, helping out with the highlights and the audio and topic ideas and everything. Great job for Sterling. We'll talk again on Saturday. Warriors this week at 10, and then Warriors Live at 4:30. Warriors and the Lakers comes up at 5:30. So that'll do it. Blazers beat the Warriors tonight, 125 to 122. And you heard it right here on 95.7 The Game. Good night.
It's Thursday night, and you're grabbing drinks with some friends. Started off with a pitcher for the table, which quickly becomes two. There's pool. And there's the photo booth.
All right, everybody squeeze in. Say cheese!
Followed naturally by an order of wings. And another.
Can we get some extra ranch sauce?
Then there's the ceremonial nightcap.
So what are we doing this weekend?
And lastly, it's back to the car, which, if you're buzzed, could be the most expensive night of your life. Getting pulled over for buzzed driving could cost you around $10,000 in fines, legal fees, and increased insurance rates. Nothing kills a buzz like getting pulled over for buzzed driving, because buzzed driving is drunk driving. Brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
Walking into the building for the first time after the shooting, it was crippling, but it had to be preserved.
In response to the Pulse nightclub shooting that affected the LGBTQ community, Barbara Poma, owner of Pulse, founded the One Pulse Foundation to honor Pulse victims and survivors.
If you're an ally of this community, speak out. There are more of us together than apart. It is the power of love in its rawest form.
Join the fight for LGBTQ acceptance. Learn how at lovehasnolabels.com. Brought to you by Love Has No Labels and the Ad Council.
Investing is confusing. Dawn raids, triple witching hour, candlesticks, crown jewels, bears, bulls, bear hugs, blue chips. It's one big word salad of uncertainty. Fortunately, Fremont Bank now has incredible rates on their savings accounts and CDs. And while savings accounts and CDs may not be known for their great rates at your current bank, at Fremont Bank, you can get great rates from a great local bank. To learn more, stop in or visit us online. We'll explain it all in plain language. Fremont Bank, serving the Bay Area since 1964. Member FDIC.
In 1848, James Marshall discovered gold at Sutter's Mill. And in 3 years, a multicultural migration grew a sleepy trading post of 800 to a city of over 250,000.
An Odyssey station.
These were the first dreamers, innovators, builders, and inventors that defined San Francisco. The San Francisco Historical Society exists to uncover, preserve, and present in engaging ways the colorful and diverse history of our city from its earliest days to the present. As a member, you'll receive The Argonaut, an award-winning publication that has provided in-depth historical accounts for over 30 years. And The Panorama, a quarterly newsletter covering ongoing activities and historical presentations. Go to sfhistory.org and discover the